Okay, hi guys. I am going to try to cover as many of the requests for dreams in this one video as I can, and if need be, I'll just break it off into other videos so that they're not too long. Okay, now the first dream that I want to try to apply my intuition and my experience from working for years with my own dreams. Um, Keeping a dream journal and there's having a very being very interested in dreams and keep taking mine seriously and working with mine. I'll leave it at that as far as I'm concerned. I can talk about that another day. But right now, I'm getting that precious window of when I can film and not be disrupted by family and a lot of noise. Um, but I'm going to look at Isadora Smith's because she was the first one to respond. And at this point in time, I have three other ones uh, that I'm going to try to interpret. But like I said, I may not be able to do them all. It just depends in this one video if it gets too long. So just looking at Isadora Smith's uh, dream that she wrote, I took my little notes here. Um, was that she had a dream as a child, and I believe that she saw herself and felt herself as a child in her dream. Uh, if I don't have that right, I'm sure she can correct me, but she was saying that as a child, she had a dream that she was walking down a dirt road and she notices ahead of her shrubs and trees that are all of the same height. But then there's one, just one, that stands out and captures her curiosity and captures her curiosity enough to come closer and inspect the tree and look more deeply. And what she notices is a little bit odd to say the least. And she didn't say how she felt about what she discovered, which was a woman or a female uh, person that was from what we call gypsies, uh, that had was inside the tree. And I just felt like it's a natural protective, almost coffin like connection to this woman. And just from what I read, I didn't feel uh, scared or like this is a particularly creepy type of dream or anything. But I'm not Isabella, so she might have felt a little creeped out. I don't know. She was a child when she had the dream. It would be very interesting to know if she would be willing also to share whether or not or how she felt no matter what, when especially when she noticed what she did inside the tree. Um, and she didn't say anything about the age of the female, but she just said a female gypsy that was deceased inside of the tree. And so I started looking at the dream and taking some notes and considering certain points that are important to me whenever I look at my own dreams. And these things that I can, off the top of my head, hopefully kind of relate to you are such things as any kind of road or path that you're walking on and what it's made out of, the environment that you're around. Are you in a natural environment, a city environment, an otherworldly environment, um, an earthly environment? And if you see trees, it's usually a boundary line. Trees are often part of a boundary line, sometimes between worlds. They are a threshold. And so considering all these points that she's on a dirt road, which is a very natural path, and perhaps her path in life is a more natural, lived and appreciated type of lifestyle where you appreciate nature and you feel more connected to it than you do more of a city lifestyle or an urban dramatic stuff. It's a very different pace. And so when she's talking about going over and examining and seeing the female inside the tree, um, it didn't, again, strike me as being something that was uh, untoward or negative in any way. In fact, it made me feel like one thing that you need to remember with nomadic people that we've called gypsies. Some people take issue with the name, but that's really not where we're going with this conversation right here, right now, because we mean nothing untoward by it. Um, I certainly don't. But I think of freedom and I think of an unconventional compared to people that live in homes and stayed in one place all year long. It's considered unconventional, but it's far more natural. Um, the indigenous people of the United States, before we stuck them on reservations, uh, moved around on the land and followed food source. They didn't overtax one area. And so, in different seasons, going different places. Now, you might wonder what the heck that has to do with Isadora's dream. Has a lot to do with it. Because I feel like this is a reminder to her from her childhood, and that she's remembered this dream since her childhood is important. To be curious enough, I think, about nature and to be attuned to it enough to notice what a lot of people wouldn't or would ignore, because you might find something very unusual, very ancient, or old in the way, not necessarily of the age of the person that she saw in the dream and within the tree, but that it feels to me like the tree has almost claimed the decedent body of the woman that lived in a very, what we would call, in more of a nomadic, moving around lifestyle. And I think it's to remind her that maybe for her, that's a kindred path for her. Not that she needs to move around a lot and live a nomadic lifestyle, but more to make sure she's able to appreciate nature and trust her instincts and make sure she has access uh, to appreciate an outdoor area, if nothing else, because I feel like there's a lot. It's like nature wants to tell the open child uh, of Isadora Smith to pay attention. There's things that they have to teach. Now, let's go ahead and use the cards and see what we get. Let's see. I just want to look through my notes here really quickly. And I also felt like the trees being, of course, not the same height. There's also a calling there for her to allow her curiosity to lead her to learn of things that maybe she won't understand, but maybe someday she will. Hopefully, I can help a little bit. But really, it could even be in connection to another life she could have had. And I definitely think that is a possibility. Um, if not ancestral, and if she doesn't have uh, that in her ancestry, then I would say, because it could be a message of that, that it's like she's a kindred spirit and she could have had a life as uh, someone living a nomadic lifestyle, a gypsy lifestyle. But typically, when we think also about a female gypsy, we don't tend to think so much of the male gypsies. We tend to think of Stevie Nicks, you know, of the idea of appreciating their unconventional living in a way that's more natural, frankly, to the seasons and to nature, because traditionally they didn't live in really spacious environments. So they spent a lot of times, not a lot of times, but a lot of time outdoors. So again, there's so much to me that goes back to nature and that reminds you of being exposed and working in nature, eh, being able to access nature as important. And important, I think, to her life, to Isadora's life, that this that she remains open to hearing nature. Okay, so now I'm going to take my deck, and it's based on the Rider Waite deck. It does have some little keywords that are handy dandy at the bottom. I've used this deck before. If you're curious, I can't remember the name of it, but you can get it off of Amazon. It's kind of odd. It's a Rider Waite deck, but it's one with keywords, and that's suffice. But I really do like this one and the way that it's made better than others. Okay, and this is the deck that spoke to me. I've got a few decks sitting out here, and I've got an Oracle deck that I will also use again, which I did off camera for Isabel. But it's called the Earth and Bone Oracle cards, and they're really interesting. So let's take a look and focus. I'm going to be shuffling at Isadora's dream, and I'm just going to ask my guides now, and Isadora's guides and angelic help to help me to relate to her anything important. What does Isadora need to know about this dream that she had as a child and that she has continued to remember to this day? And again, I always think those are special dreams and that you need to pay attention to. They're not just the what I call kind of taking out the garbage dreams where they're kind of muddied and you don't remember them. And the ones that you remember that are lucid and very clear, and you're like, wow, I know that meant something. I'm not exactly sure what. And that's why you should always journal your dreams. Buy a cheapy notebook and keep a pen or pencil with it in your nightstand. Seriously, and write it down when you can. That helps. And it will help you to kind of retrain your mind to withhold dreams much better. At least that's worked for me. It's helped to improve it. Okay. So let's see. Isadora, why did she see the lady in the tree? That's an end of a cycle, too. I mean, we're being shown that this woman had an end of a cycle of her life, and here she is inside of this tree that stands out almost like an antenna. And when you learn about trees and how they actually do communicate, scientists have finally been able to catch up and figure out the root systems, how they communicate, and the trees themselves and other plants, especially like mushrooms. It's all very interesting how they communicate through root systems and whatnot. So trees and plants are intelligent, have intelligence, have um, that we don't even know. And sometimes the only way we learn is by having dreams like this, where we're being really pointed again and again and again toward nature, wanting to catch our attention and say, "Hey, we have you notice me, and I have information for you that would help your life." So I want to know the significance of the woman inside the tree and what not Isabel, I'm sorry, Isadora Smith needs to know. It's late here, but I will do my best. Don't worry. The reading shan't be bad for that. I've been looking forward to this. I'm quite awake. Beautiful name, Isadora. I love that as much as I love the name Isabel. Probably why I was twisting them around. All right, see, let's see what we get. Oh, okay. Well, here we have the moon, illusion, intuition, subconscious. And it can be sometimes about fear, but it's also about dreams. So here it is bringing up the dream, and I think bringing up subconscious and subconscious symbols. And it comes along with the Ten of Pentacles, which could be about a family like ancestry. It can be. So, Isadora, I don't know if you're aware of or have any means of learning of family DNA or past that connects you to um, heritage, but the Ten of Pentacles is about the like I said, family legacy, inheritance, um, and reunion. So you getting these two cards, and though it is under a peculiar kind of a instance of a dream, it makes me feel like this could be ancestral. Check it out. If it isn't, I'd say it's definitely like a past life. And that would still ring true to me with the Ten of Pentacles here because this is going back generations of people in families. And sometimes not just families, sometimes this card can mean communities, etc. But I think there is a good chance that there could be something connected through actual family heritage or lineage ancestry, and they're speaking to you through your subconscious and your intuition. And I think it's also to help you to awaken your intuition. And maybe the reason why you saw the female the way you did was to help you to understand that this person is no longer earthly alive, but they have significance to you. There's a reason you're being shown them. Her in this case. We get the Seven of Pentacles, which talks about a goal. This is planning and tending, and also, again, a very earthly based card where you're putting in an effort, but sometimes you have to kind of not overdo. So, I don't know, this again gives me that feeling toward having involvement, even with gardening and in various different ways where you can stay connected to nature, because I feel like it's a real, it helps you to connect to your intuition. It helps all of us do. But I really feel like that was a gift that was being given to you through that dream and showing you things that it knew you would remember. And I say it more like your guides, your subconscious, those behind you receiving this dream, potentially even ancestors, or at least kindred spirits. And yes, when we're talking about developing the intuition to be able to sense beyond the veil, um, does this run in your family? And through women? Because there's something very, when I get the family card and I get the moon, there's something hidden. I feel like maybe within family that you may not know about. It could be lineage, um, or similarities to the woman that you saw in the tree. Because here we have that Ten of Pentacles and the moon. And that's all about how when the moon, you can't see things as clearly. It's like the dream. You're not given to understand sometimes everything all at once, but you're being shown things that in time, sometimes years down the road, you'll figure out what a dream has been meaning or leading you to learn more about. I've certainly had it with myself, have that happen. And for me, again, I can't say it enough. All of us, it's good for your memory as well. And especially as we age, I feel like with my health, I get enough brain fog that I want to always keep working on memory and keeping, especially things to do with subconscious and dream work. I think is really important because I think it helps you to be more attentive in your own life and intuitive and sensitive to things going on. And I think that this dream is very much along those lines, because especially then when we get that Seven of Pentacles that pairs up, because I read in pairs, with the High Priestess. And it's all about developing intuition and a path of growth and plans. There are plans. So I feel like it's paying attention and to your intuition and honoring it. And I feel like this being of the female form that you saw there within the tree was no threat to you. But I think on a more respectful note, may spiritually be some significant mentor at least in the message of reminding you to stay close, I think, to nature and to trust your intuition and not to conform to what society says so that you shut these things down, because I think that that would be very unnatural for you. Yeah, and it's funny because with the earth and bone deck that I used, you also got the card of a hermit, but it was called the Wayfarer there, and it's about soul searching and tending to go. The hermit goes to the beat of their own drum, and they have to and enjoy figuring things out for themselves and going off the beaten track. They don't tend to feel always at home in orthodox, really stiff rules and regulations. You know, they need room to think and soul search. And this is the wish, what they call the wish card, the Nine of Cups, where there's comfort, there's happiness, there's sharing one's goods and of oneself. I feel like with the cups, one's good spirits um, with others. And so sharing insight with like minded individuals. Because again, the nine has, it's a card of abundance and happiness. It can be greed, but not in this case. This is being very happy to do things to the beat of your own drum and learning things in a less than typically orthodox style. I'm the same way. I don't learn that way. It's an intuitive path. So I think it was a gift from childhood that was given to you then to remind you that you're an intuitive, that you're sensitive, and to use these to benefit your life, to become wise and aware. And just like paying attention caused you to notice the difference in the trees, and I'm sure you were kind of perplexed maybe about what you found there. I'm be very interested to what you'll have to say, but I can't keep but feel that it's a message of the importance of what's natural to you would be more than likely a more natural path, being that you're on literally a road that is dirt. It is not paved or a city street, um, but that this is where you're really connected to nature. So that's what I'm going to say for Isadora Smith's dream. And I hope that makes sense to her. And I just want to throw it out there one more time. What does the woman in the tree want to share with Isadora? What does the woman in the tree and her dream want to get across, want to share with her? Because if you see her at peace there, then it is a peaceful cycle. It's you get more of clarity that way and a connectedness. And I can't help but think of ancestral or at least kindred spirit if you don't have Romany in your background. What does that woman want her to know? Funnily enough, we get the Hierophant, which is about Orthodox, typically what would be an Orthodox way of living and believing, and there's rules and regulations, and that's what we're taught here. That's why you have basically this spiritual teacher teaching these apprentices that have shaved their heads to receive. I think part of the reason why they did that was to receive God's, that, there's something I read somewhere. Don't quote me on that. But there was something, a reason why they did shave their heads like that, wore their hair that way. It wasn't always just a natural male pattern baldness. Um, so again, counselor, teacher, rules, structure, tradition, advice. But maybe in that she's going to be learning a mixture of ways. You have the typical ways of society, but then you have the ways of the heart that say, look over here, pay attention, um, go deeper, and make the connection. And here we have the Seven of Swords, which is showing theft, stealth, cunning, but often dishonesty. And I have to say, one of the reasons why uh, gypsies tried to remain nomadic was because there was a belief, and I can't speak for them now, but I know that I've heard them say that way, the conventional way that people have lived in houses is not for us. And there's a feeling like that you're having your freedom taken away from you, and you're being controlled and told what to believe rather than to figure it out for yourself, which is something that ideally within the lifestyle that people living nomadically did, they felt they didn't always have someone with this rigid structure system. There was a system of learning, but it was much more intuitive. So I feel once again we're being shown intuitive learning and a distrust or a discomfort with those that try to teach through, or what is taught through, the mouths of the orthodox outlets, shall we say. You get the Sun and the Ace of Pentacles, and that's interesting. So there's a child on a horse. You're open, you're free, just like the gypsy. And then you have the Ace of Pentacles, and that's new beginnings. I think, again, it was a gift, a blessing being given to remind you to remain connected, like the baby on the horse, remain connected uh, to nature and nature's creatures, and you will learn perhaps much more uh, profound things that will mean a great deal to you in life than you would if you just tried to push yourself to conform, which I don't see that being able to happen. So I think it's a very positive reminder potentially here. The Emperor and the Lovers, I half don't wonder if there couldn't be a family thing involved, because it's maybe through a father's line of family, uh, of marriage, with the Lover's card. There's partnership. But I think this is also trying to be able to learn what you can from both schools of thought. But still, I think the natural school of thought and paying attention to your own intuition is going to be where it's at. And that's what I have. So I'll stop it here at 35 minutes. And then I will have Joyce Mathau, Larissa Jeffrey, and I wanted to look at a comment of by I think it's Tibia Ross. I'm never sure if I'm saying your name correctly, and I'm sorry if I'm not. And her comment about dreams that a lot of people like to know about that they have with people that have crossed over. And I'll touch on that one as well. So those are the ones I have for so far. But this one was for Isadora Smith. And Isadora, things may even come to me later, and most likely they will. Hopefully, to add to this, and I may put those if that happens in the comments. And if this is any way helpful or made any sense, I would really appreciate either way knowing and give it time. It might open up some intuitive stuff within you. But the intuitive road and the natural road is the one that I think fosters your intuition and your intuition's growth and connection and power of connection because you're not ignoring it. So, also learning to trust it, your intuition. Okay. And that's what I have. Hope you enjoyed it. See you later. Until the next one with Joyce Mathau's dream and Larissa Jeffrey and Tipa Russ. Take care. And no matter what, try to go out there and spread a little love, spread a little light, spread a smile, or some good thoughts. People need them.